Superwoman issue 10, Kay Perkins writing and Steven Segovia on art. I'm actually going to go to Matt's comments on this first because
Because
I
you want
can,
to argue with them.
well, I don't want to argue with him, but I can spin out of it. Superwoman, he said he loved the cover, but he's out. It's really taken a dive, and that last part I really want to take umbrage with because I actually really like this issue. Like, I think this is probably maybe outside of the first one because it had those really cool twists, might be the best issue of the series. And honestly, this new writer's really put my interest back into the book. So basically, and what I liked about this issue, it did really well. It took Lana's like sort of anxiety and her own self doubt and kind of used it in a really smart way, because basically they've still got their the suit that they made for her, that Natasha made for her, during the first arc. The was it the beehive suit? What was it called? let me get the name of the suit. I can't
I don't
remember.
know. There was a lot of names and words in that first arc.
There was,
There's
yeah,
too many to remember.
there was, which is why I'm not going to blame anyone for not remembering it. But yeah, so yes, insect queen armor. That's what it was called, right? You can see where I got beehive suit from because it's yellow as well.
Sure. I felt
but-
it would have made more bee puns though if it was a beehive thing.
Probably. But they basically test the suit because they find that the suit is still giving off energy for some reason, even though she's lost her powers. And basically, what we find out throughout the issue is that the suit, because of the way it's designed and because it's tied to her genetically, has retained the powers, so that if she's wearing the suit, she still has the powers, but she doesn't have the powers outside the suit. Alright? Which is a little bit convenient. It's basically just a way for her to still be a superhero.
Yeah, it kind of works for me in the sense that it makes her, she has to change into the costume.
She can be vulnerable though, because when she's out of the costume, she is just a human being, and that
Yeah.
can be trouble. But basically, they put her into this chamber to test the suit, and the suit kind of goes through her inner thoughts and like what's worrying her right now. Because we open with like her having a nightmare. It's basically just the events of what's happened with Superman and becoming energy and all that stuff, and like all of it, like all the trauma that came from that. And it basically goes through all that, and Natasha and John actually, like, this is the first they find out that she's not been sleeping, that she's had no appetite, that she's struggling with life right now. And we sort of learned a lot of that when she was with Clark last issue. But it's going through all that, and it brings up some other old threads about Natasha's little brother who was kidnapped by a supervillain when he was younger. And we learn some stuff about that, which comes into it later. But what I really liked is it's basically the whole idea with this chamber and her suit is that it's kind of her own current like subconscious is attacking her, because it starts like actually attacking her with machine guns, and we find out she's actually like powerful enough with the suit on to take it, like, because she still has her powers with it. But I like the simple little idea that it's using her own self-conscious against her. So because she is beating herself up, because she has all this doubt, that doubt is actually physically attacking her in this chamber. It plays with that a little bit, and I actually kind of like that. I mean, she basically decides that she actually is Superwoman, that she is this person. The suit kind of like becomes that suit again. Like, it actually forms the S and does all that stuff. A little flashback with Clark when he tried to cheer her up and all that. And we see she wakes up again in the middle of the night, but this time it's not a nightmare. She has a dream about Clark comforting her. And she finds out that Natasha's dad, who is also a villain called Crash, has escaped from prison, as well as Skyhook, who is the villain who kidnapped Natasha's little brother. Because there's a flashback at one point with Natasha not being picked up from school, like her dad just doesn't show up. Right. And we sort of learn that she's so close with her uncle because he kind of stepped in and became the father for a lot of her childhood. And she's living with him and stuff now, so that makes sense. But by the way, Skyhook looks pretty badass. Right, I want to point this out. I actually really like the art. Steven Segovia, of course, was doing a lot of action issues recently. He's been popping up quite a lot in that.
Yeah.
So the art's really up. And what I love is, so basically we go through all this stuff with her self-doubt and her kind of realising she still has the powers with the suit. She gets up in the middle of the night and sees this news report that Skyhook's been escaped from prison and he's out. And she basically has a stupid idea, despite the fact that she's not trained, despite the fact that she's feeling vulnerable. She puts on the suit and she goes to face him. And it's like pouring a rain. And Skyhook's kind of got this almost Grim Reaper-esque like hood, and it's like darkness, but like the eyes are like fire. It looks really badass. Like, it's a really cool look. and she goes out to fight him in the rain. And it's a really cool visual, and it's literally just the last 2 pages, but it's basically just her like narration. She gets grabbed by the neck, and in the last page, she basically ends with saying, "I am human," and kind of like how Clark, like his humanity makes him who he is. She realizes that her humanity is what will make her Superwoman. It's not the powers, and she sort of ends with saying, "I'm Superwoman," and it's time to fight, and that's kind of the sort of the uplifting ending. She's sort of realized that she is this person, and
Kind of surprised Matt didn't dig this, frankly.
yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm not sure why he wasn't into it, but I was.
Well, when you say all that stuff there, that's like exactly why Matt loves Superman so much.
Yeah,
So
and she's even learning the lessons from Superman about how to be this, and so I don't get why he didn't quite like it. But if he's out, whatever. But that last part that he said, "This is taking a massive dive," I take umbrage with that because I think it's the exact opposite. I think it's getting better. Obviously, we had a lot of problems with the first arc, but obviously the writers changed, the artist has changed, and I really like this issue. Actually, I like what it did with her. I like that it's building her. I like that it's building a lot of her supporting cast. Because Natasha gets a lot in this, and this whole idea of her little brother being kidnapped. He's still never been found. He was kidnapped when he was 8, and they still don't know where he is. Presumably dead, although it's a comic book, so he'll probably show up alive at some point.
I was going to say, why would you presume anyone's dead in a comic story?
Yeah, so I really like the art. I really like what it did with Lana's character. I like that it's building up her, Natasha specifically in this one, but by extension also Steel, because he's connected to that.
Yeah.
So it's given her a stronger supporting cast. It's kind of becoming the book that I wanted it to be after that first issue, which is nice, because it got really bogged down with being over-told with Lena Luthor and all the rest of it and all that was going on, and it was a confusing read.
Yeah.
But I like this one. And then the last page is glorious. It's her being grabbed by the neck and the rain's pouring down. There's rain like pouring down her face, but she's got the heat vision eyes and they're like steam coming from the eyes, and she's like
pretty cool.
She looks determined despite the fact she's been grabbed by the neck by this. Again, I have to really emphasize this. I mean, Skyhook is a really weird name. I don't know why he's called Skyhook, because he has nothing about him that makes me think of hooks or sky. But no, I really dig Superwoman, so I am disagreeing largely with Matt. I will continue to read this quite happily.